Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are live on the Social Experiment YouTube channel. I got my boy, Mr. Patrick Lyons, waiting in the lobby for us to answer some questions and to be part of this interview process as well as be part of the channel. I want to thank everybody, first and foremost, for continuing to watch, continuing to join, continuing to like, continuing to subscribe, because we have been working on something amazing here. We have been having some great conversations. We have been talking to some great gentlemen, different people within the community who are doing some great things, doing some powerful things, who are helping us grow, helping us thrive. You know what I mean? Just helping us come together and being more active in the community. And I feel like it's perfect timing because a lot of these gentlemen that I have been interviewing have been like, some of us grew up in the community centers, and some of us were part of the culture. Some of us, we played a role in just being part of some of those people who wanted to lead us, and being part of some of those people who wanted to you know what I mean? Just like kind of mold us and help us get things in order and see different things. So, it's very interesting to see some of my peers and some of the people that I've been talking to be part of those trees and be part of those families. So we're gonna hop right into it. I got my man, Mr. Patrick Lyons, Elder Patrick Lyons, waiting over there in the lobby. So we're gonna pull him into the room and we're gonna get this conversation started. I appreciate everybody. Make sure you subscribing to the channel. Make sure you liking. If you got any questions, throw some comments out there. We're gonna try to see how much interaction we can have today. So, without any further waiting, we're gonna invite my man, Mr. Patrick Lyons, into the room. What's going on, my man? How you doing, man? How you feeling today?
Oh man, honestly, I'm feeling blessed, man. I'm grateful to even be here on your show. I love what you're doing. I love your passion for community, man. So it's cool to go from an observer and admirer to a participant. So man, I appreciate what you're doing, bro.
Listen, man, I think I appreciate that too, for real. And like I tell people all the time, like I'm doing this just so we can kind of highlight us, because a lot of like negativity gets spread, and a lot of people will talk about a bunch of different things, and sometimes we just need to have more conversations about things that make sense, and not a lot of conversations that are nonsense. So I appreciate every single person that be open to the invitation to be willing to come on here, and I usually start to show off. The first question I usually ask is, what made you want to be interested in being a guest on the show? Like, why did you accept the invitation to be a part of the social experiment?
I accepted the invitation because I believe, number one, what you're doing is critical. I think as African American men, we've had a very tainted perception designed by others for us. And so when we get a chance to paint the picture and tell our own story, or in the common language of the day, to talk our own talk, man, I value that. And so for me, the objective is to paint a different picture of who we are so the world can see what we're really about. And then the other thing is, man, I'm just honored to be a part of something moving, man. I love to see things evolve. I love to see creation. I love to see development. And so when there's an opportunity for me to fit in wherever, man, I'm gonna get in where I fit in for real.
Listen, man, I appreciate it, for real. And I appreciate the things you said about me, because again, like I said, that's what it's all about. As far as just being able to identify one another and acknowledge one another and see who's got what going on. Because like I was saying before you got in, like I'm a big, community center kid. Like I grew up in a community center, and I grew up like being around different individuals who played a role in my life and my development as a young man. And I remember going to the Trinity Center. Well, I don't even know. It might have been Holy Trinity at the time. We was all going there out the White House. You know what I mean? It's running the summer program. So I've been talking to different people who come from some of those community center trees and stuff like that. So my question to you, like, is how important is it that we are involved with people in the community and having just different things that we can expose some of the youth to based on some of the things you've been through?
Oh man, I think it's beyond important. I think important is a soft way of expressing its value and worth. I think it's crucial and vital. As a Christian, as a believer, man, I understand that God has built us for community. And even if you don't subscribe to the Christian faith, you understand and you recognize the value of community. You recognize the structure of family and the vital nature of pouring into. But the great expanse of the African American culture is our ability to participate in the development of each other. We didn't begin as slaves, we began as kings. We began as innovators, we began as designers and developers. And in that, when we take that same energy to pour into each other, man, I think that's what makes us great. So yeah, I think it's beyond important. I think it's vital. I think it's vital.
Man, you came off letting off some fire early. We gonna enjoy this one, man. We definitely gonna enjoy this one, this conversation, and get it flowing. So, like, I don't even want to hop too much into the questions without kind of figuring out like who you are. So, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit, like, if somebody were to ask the question, who is Patrick Lyons? How do you answer that question?
Man, there's a lot of layers to your boy. I'm like Shrek, man, and
Okay.
only you know what I'm saying? There's layers to this, man, but I ain't an onion. But anyway, at the end of the day, man, I think when you talk about Patrick Lyons, you can't separate the man from the God of the man. And so for me, my faith is the foundation of everything I stand on. And so whenever you talk about Patrick Lyons, you have to equate my faith in God. Not only am I a man of faith, I'm a man of family. I love my family. I have children. And crazy as it is, I'm a preacher who's had kids without being married. I know what it's like to be in leadership and to fall publicly and to recover and move to the place I am now today. But not only am I a man of faith and family, I'm also a man who loves to function. I'm a man of who loves to create. I'm a musician. I'm a singer. I love to do things in the arts. I'm connected to people. And so the last element of me, I just like to, I think one of the gifts I have is the ability to one communicate and the ability to extract value out of. In my work in mental health, in my work in ministry, in my work in community work, in my work in nonprofit, I find that God has just given me the ability to see value in people and help bring it out. And so that's kind of who Pat is, man.
Wow, wow, it great. Listen, man, that's a lot of good stuff, and you mash that in. Every person I have on here that they throw out all of this stuff that they are, and they kind of wrap it up real quick. And then what I like to do is bring it, slow it back down, and kind of tap into that and break it down a little bit. So when we talk about you, like being a young man, like what was like growing up? What's your family structure like? What was the household structure like? And what was some of the the things that Mr. Patrick Lott what kind of molded you as a man?
My family structure was complex in that I'll tell my family business. I do it all the time. I came up in what would be described as a broken home.
Okay.
Father was absent. My father wrestled. He was a fully functioning alcoholic, and I thank God that you can't minimize my father to his alcoholism because he overcame and he blossomed later in his years. But it is a relevant part of my childhood. I grew up in a single parent home, bro. I grew up on 19th Street, the townies, man. I ain't run too much in the Holly, but I know all them Holly boys, and most of them Holly boys know me.
Okay.
So that's really my background. But the meat of my background was found in a community called the church. And I know I keep talking about these spiritual concepts, but again, you can't separate me from that. That's me. So my upbringing in church was what supplemented what was lacking in what my father did not do, or and at times I realize now he could not do.
Okay.
I was surrounded by men of integrity. I was surrounded by men who made bad decisions. I was surrounded by men who poured into me. And Bishop Stanley K. Smith, my pastor, Pastor Daryl Cook, man, we grew up sitting in a swing in a backyard of the church talking about the Bible and how we make good decisions. You know what I mean? So that foundation for me was vital, bro. So my foundation and my family structure was one that was broken. But if you look at the end result of what God has done, man, it don't look like I was broken, bro. It don't.
Right, right. So when you talk about like that family structure, and then like you growing up with your father not being as present as you would like him to be, like, did you have
Mhm.
any siblings? You were only child, like you say, you single mother. Like how strong was your mother, and how many kids did she raise on her own over there?
Dude, my mom's mom, and this is no disrespect. Understand the context. You get the culture, man. My mom is an animal. She's an unstoppable force, bro. Even now, my mother graduated from Edinburgh University at the age of what, 60, almost 60. You know what I mean? Graduated
Wow.
with a bachelor's degree. Opened a daycare when she retired. Entrepreneur, went from welfare to owning a business to having her degree in her almost senior years. Man, my mom is ridiculously amazing, bro.
Okay,
Um,
mom. Okay, mom. That's what's up.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Darlene Henderson. That's my mother, man. I look just like her. I'm just a dark skinned version. But but on the flip side, I do got siblings. You know, my brother Jared Lyons, my biological sister India Henderson. But the interesting thing about my mother is she was adopted, so she always had a passion for community. So she had a tendency to take in neighborhood kids. I've got kids. I won't say their name and put their business out, but their mother was locked up in jail and struggling with some issues, and my mom took them in, bro, with no financial financial assistance, no documentation from the government, no aid or nothing. She took the little bit we had, make it work for all of us, and now they're my sisters. I got nieces and nephews galore off of these two sisters that my mom brought in because she got a love for people. So yeah, my family structure is crazy, but my mom is amazing, dude. My mom's amazing. So
Wow, that's crazy that you say that stuff. Like, I would have never thought any of that stuff about you. Like, it's even like going to the center, you know what I mean? And growing up and being around, like, y'all always just seemed like y'all was well put together and well mannered. It came from like a strong family background. I lived on the west side when y'all was all going to the center. So, and y'all
yeah,
had a nice little tight little group of friends. I'm like, man, they got it going on. It's crazy to learn this 25 years later to see like some of the things that you grow up with. So then,
yeah.
and then you mentioned like growing up in those townies, like being close to the Holly, but then you are actually like going into the church and staying into the church and stuff like that. So was there any like struggles when it came to that, as far as like you wanting to be a kid and wanting to be involved in certain things, and then it's like I got to go to church when everybody going to the football games and everybody hanging out and playing? Like, what was that like?
Bro, you told my story real talk. That's my story, dog. It was a struggle, man. Like my brother will tell you, my boys will tell you, the cats like Sharif and them will tell you, Sheldon and them will tell you, Jamel and all them mugs will tell you. Like I didn't run in those circles like I wanted to. And I don't regret that, man. It's kind of like the whole concept of understanding the value of boundaries and setting limitations, man. I believe God covered me from some stuff. He set boundaries for me that I thought were restrictive, but they really freed me. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I said it, I preached last Sunday and I was talking about how God sets boundaries so we can live limitless. If you don't have boundaries, then you'll live a limited life. For instance, the boundary of two yellow lines in the middle of a road. Bro, they tell us to drive on the right hand side of the road. You stay on your side of the road, because if you don't have that boundary, you become reckless and you create chaos, and that chaos creates aggression and violence and destruction of us. And so for me, when I thought my mom was tripping when she was coming in breaking all our music that was R&B and hip hop, they talking about sex, she throwing it out. I couldn't smoke weed in the crib, I couldn't go to the little party and all that. What I found out was God was setting a boundary to preserve me, bro. Not that I'm greater than anybody else who didn't have that boundary. I'm not. But it's crazy because some of the cats who didn't have that boundary are the cats I'm now praying for. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because they got uphill battles that they could have avoided had somebody set the right boundary for them. You know what I mean? And again, not that I'm anybody special. It's just the grace of God in my life to keep me from some things, maybe because He knew I couldn't handle it. So yeah.
wow, that's understandable. That's respectable. So you know what I mean? Like, especially for you to see it like today as an adult, like to understand, like potentially your life could have been saved from you being involved in the church, your mother being involved in the community, and you having that strong foundation of a mother to literally say, this is what we're going to do and this is what you're not going to do. But then
Right.
on the flip side, like what was it like dealing with some of the adversities of some of your friends? Like, did you get, because I remember like at one point in time, my mom was real wrapped up into the church, and we went to the Pentecostal church where you got it's so many different rules and it's crazy stuff, and it's like, oh, you the church boys, they get to calling you church boy and stuff like that. So how is that like, you know what I mean, as far as dealing with your friends and doing the right thing for you internally and personally?
It was difficult. It was difficult, man, because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to do what everybody else did. Man, everybody was having fun. You know what I mean? I tell this story all the time. Like, most cats when they young, like 15, 16, they got a shorty and they doing what they doing with the shorty. They sleep with shorty. They go to their boys and they like, yeah, I smashed shorty and all that. Man, when that stuff happened with us, man, we would look at each other like, man, I messed up. Like,
Yeah.
man, like I couldn't go and brag about doing certain goofy things, man. And so it was hard because I stood out. It was hard because I was the church boy. I did get picked on. I did get laughed at times. I did get mocked at times. But again, man, the value of that, I wouldn't trade for nothing, dog. And it just teaches me like everything comfortable isn't cohesive with your destiny. Just
Right.
because it feel good don't mean it'll help build you. And did I feel I missed out on some stuff? I did. I felt like I did. But now that I look back, man, I'm good. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Right.
so
And
yeah,
interesting to hear how, like, as you develop into a man and you kind of like, you have the opportunity to look back on some of the things that you thought were opportunities and realize, like, man, I might have dodged some bullets, man, because, like you saying, there was some people, you want to go hang with them guys. And it's crazy because they be doing some stuff that's just like, what? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But in the back of your mind, in the back of your head, you're like, that kind of like fun. I want to be involved. You know what I mean? So to be able to grow through that and understand and realize and grasp the concept of somebody was saving my life. If it was your mother or God through your mother telling you, like, listen, Patrick, we're gonna slow you down. So like that's amazing to even, you know what I mean, to have that and to be able to have that insight and look at that, as well as to deal with some of them adversities as a young man. Like that's not easy, man. Listen, as a
Mm.
kid going to church, like it wasn't easy. Like, going to school on Monday, like, oh, I went to church, or you got to go to church on Tuesday night, you got church on Thursday night, your mom cleaning the church on Saturday, is rehearsal Saturday evening, you in Sunday school at 9, and you at church until
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. But
Yeah.
and then going back to the thing, like as far as like, you saying you was around some people with some men with some high level of integrity, some men who have been through some of the mess. So how important, or let me ask you, outside of your father, like what role did other men in the community play in molding you as a man and development of a man, and how important was it to you and for you?
There's different levels. There were some men who played fatherly roles to me, and I love it because they didn't try to force it on me. They just was present, and
Hmm.
they just did the things a father should have done. It wasn't like they were imposing on me; they were just available. So that was huge. Some men played fatherly roles, like Bishop Stanley K. Smith. Then other men were like mentors.
Uh-huh.
They weren't quite as intimate as the father, as close as a father would be, but they were present to teach me certain things. Bro, I learned how to tie a tie at Sears, dog. I learned how to tie a tie at Sears. It was Easter. My mom took us to get some clothes. We go to the counter. We picking out ties, and this white guy behind the counter, no shade, like a white guy, like, you know how to tie a tie, young man? Absolutely not. Taught me on the spot how to tie a tie. You know what I do, so now I'm wearing ties all the time.
Uh-huh.
So his mentorship was a 5 minute interaction, but it impacted the whole direction of my life, bro. So like there's indirect mentorship, and then there's models. I believe God sets us up with people who are models. I have mentors I'll never meet. I do.
Right.
I have
Right.
mentors I'll never talk to face. They mentor me through their book. They mentor me through their social media presence. They mentor me through their speaking engagements. They
Now break
mentor.
that down for me a little bit. Who are some of these people that you're talking about? We might be following some of the same people, but go ahead, throw some names out.
Let me run them in, dog. We got on a direct level. There's Bishop T.D. Jakes. I'm a big fan of his ministry. I love his ability to tell a story and to be relevant in the culture. I also like the innovative nature of R.A. Vernon. He's a pastor in Cleveland, Ohio. I did meet him because I went to his conference, but
Okay.
even if I didn't, his leadership style, his creativity, his ability to be hood, relevant, and quality all at the same time blows me away. Maintain his personality and still had a great relationship with God.
Right.
Guys like Stephen Furtick, a white guy who does like his church is like more popish. Michael Todd, Bishop Noel Jones, who I met here. These guys mentor me, don't even know it. But then there's guys outside of the church that I never met, like Malcolm X. One statement he made that my pastor quotes that really changed my perception was, "He who now defines confines." If I can tell you who you are, I can put you in a box. And that's why you
Mm,
gotta be careful who you allow speak over your life. Because, bro, if you tell me all I am is a drug dealer and I live that out, I've now allowed you to define me, and you've confined me to what I've been exposed to rather than what I can create. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that, man. I got mentors. I got female mentors, bro. I'll never meet, and I'm good with that. But my old pastor used to say this. He says, "More is caught than is taught." The implication of being taught means there's one-on-one interaction. The implication of something being caught mean you were in position to get that information for yourself. So for me, man, like sometimes I see people do creative stuff. I watch people and I learn the whole ride. People don't even know they my mentors and they mentoring me. So
man, that's listen, man. Just hearing you, I'm ready to go to church right now. Just listening to you talk, man. Like I love the way you articulate your words and the way that you express things, as well as especially giving those shout outs to different people. And like again, I'm gonna keep reiterating the fact that like that's why we do some of the things that we do, because I want people to see us being able to have these conversations and hear black men talk about good things and hear how we articulate our words and understand that everybody isn't ignorant, and then for other people to kind of watch and see who we are and kind of what I mean, be more open to gravitating towards us and having those type of conversations with us.
yeah,
And like it's definitely great to hear you talk about how some of the men played a role in your life, like closely, intimately, on a mentor level, on a follower level as well. Because like I think right now the nature that we're in, like it's very important for us as men to kind of step up a little bit more and be more present in the community and have more leadership and be more available for, I mean, other people. And like I think with our generation and age of men, like a lot of us right now at this point in time, we had those things. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And we got to the point to where we turned into adults where we felt like we was a little bit reckless to where we didn't care. But as I'm seeing now, it's more of a trend for a lot of us who grew up through some of those community centers and grew up through some of those different modalities to give back to our community. And that's why I want to continue to highlight some people and continue to have these conversations. And it sounds to me like, man, you got a lot of amazing stuff going on. You know what I mean? We still got some catching up to do as far as everything that you got going on. So now I want you to tell me kind of like what was high school like for you? Like growing up in high school, you involved in the church, you transitioned into a young man to a man. Like you already said, like the picked on stuff is coming a little bit, but then people know who you are still at the end of the day. So I'm pretty sure it was a level of respect for you as well. Like
Yeah, for sure.
we talked about the music, so take us to the transitioning phase from a young man to adolescent man to thinking you were. We all get to a hey, we 15, I'm a man. You know what I mean? Don't tell me nothing. Like take me through that a little bit. What was life like for you?
Life for me was very interesting that I was imbalanced. Uh, in school, if you look at my grades, bro, they don't match my level of intelligence. And I'm not saying that in a cocky way because I'm constantly learning. I'm in college right now.
Okay,
But
congratulations.
thank you, bro. But for me, I majored in church and I minored in life. And
Mm,
so my education, I didn't put enough energy into it. I would do enough just to get by. So whereas I could have been a straight A student all the way through and went to college for free, I did terrible in school, but my church game was right. I was running youth ministries. I was helping my pastor and Corey and Jonathan Baker. I was helping them and Jared, my brother. We was leading seven choirs in the church as teenagers. We was
wow.
traveling the tri-state area singing. We was recording in studios. We was learning instruments. We was going on tours with musicians. We was hitting big names. We opened up for CC Winans, who's a major gospel artist. We was writing gospel music. We was doing all that crazy cool stuff. But at the other end of the day, I wasn't balanced in that. I wasn't learning how to live as a young man. And so high school for me was success and failure all at once, man.
Okay.
It really was. And so I had to learn some things the hard way. Bro, a lot of people don't know this, but when I walked the stage at graduation, my diploma wasn't signed. A lot of
No.
people don't know that, bro. I remember standing there and JB, Jonathan Baker, man, that's like my brother. He's standing there like, yo, it's him and a couple other folks. They like, hey, let's take a picture with our diploma. They like, open your diplomas up. And on the inside, I'm sick because I know my diploma ain't signed.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I had to deal with not being balanced, man. Like, and as men, we got to master balance because what we'll do is we'll compartmentalize things and
Hmm.
we'll major in the minor and minor in the major. We'll
Mm,
put our energy in the wrong things. We'll be great husbands and terrible employees, or we'll be great businessmen and terrible fathers. You know what I mean? Or we'll be great at taking care of our family, but our health will be crap. And so we got to learn how to manage different realms balance so that we can have full success, man. So yeah, that's what I learned because I messed up, dog. I messed up.
wow. Listen, man, it's crazy. It's very interesting to hear you say that when you say like I mastered at church, but I wasn't doing too well at school because you would think like growing up in the church and being around certain neighborhoods and communities, it's like that's taken very serious. Like you come to church, like you would think everybody in church getting good grades and doing homework and stuff like that. But you talking about leading all these bands and groups and Corey kind of talked about you a little bit when it came to the drums and the pots and pans and pulling
Yeah.
them out. So like what all instruments do you play? What all like what are you good at when it comes to instruments? And then tell me a little bit about the singing as well.
Well, my first instrument, well, I believe your first instrument is your voice. So I grew up
Okay.
as a kid in church singing. And as you can hear in my voice, bro, I ain't got no bass in my voice. So I sing high. I'm a first tenor. So I used to get picked on for that junk, man. And then, bro, as a kid, just a little humor. This is real talk. They had me sing a song about Zacchaeus saying I'm short and fat and I'm not too pretty. And I was short and fat as a kid, bro. Like, so like that was my first instrument was my voice. Then my first actual I appreciate all the love, y'all. I gotta say, I appreciate all the love. My first instrument was the drums. I did start on pots and pans. Man, we low income housing. Man, we can't buy no $600 drum set. So I took my mom's records, Temptations, and everything, and broke all them joints. Man, I messed up. But I used to use pencils and learn that way. Then I learned bass guitar, which is my main instrument, and then I play piano because I had to learn how to lead worship at a church I was at, and we ain't had no keyboard player. So I was like, all right, I got to learn. So
Hmm.
that's just how it unfolded.
So when you learned it, like, did you learn it all by ear, or was you like signing up for music classes? Like, did you, how did that work? Was you just like in church, like I'm banging on the drums until I figure this out, and then after that we'll play something smooth?
It was by ear, man. And going back to a previous statement, it's that community concept, man. I grew up with Daryl Cook, who got his own business teaching piano online. He got students from all over the world, bro. He's I born in Erie, but he got students all over. So it was Jared on the drums, it was Jonathan Baker on the drums and on the keys, and it was Corey Cook, it was me, it was Jamie Roberts on percussion. What I found was I got connected to brothers who wanted to learn, and we just fed each other, bro. You feed me, I feed you. You learn this, I learn that, and that's it became breeding ground for information. And I didn't even recognize it at the time. For us, we was in the townies kicking it, making a whole bunch of noise.
Uh
But
huh.
it was literally developing each other all the while, man. It's crazy.
Okay, okay, that's what's up. And then so when you talk about, we talking, we growing up, you go from young men to grown men. We talking about this transition. Were you involved in any sports or any athletics or anything like that, or was it church and music? And if not, like, how was that as far as like, I mean, I guess you kind of still like my grandparents, they had a gospel band. So like I was all into that kind of stuff too, but sometimes you seem like the oddball. You still like, what you mean you want to play some music or you about to go to a gospel show? So like
Yeah,
where was the balance when it came to that as far as like you trying to participate in other school stuff or other kids stuff and then you know what I mean? And then you just like, okay, I gotta do the school church thing.
got you. Man, like sports wasn't my thing, real talk. Like even
Okay.
now, most like, yeah, who you squad? I'm like, I just want to see a good game. I watch basketball, football. That really ain't my thing. And then I'm a big guy, so everybody like, I know you play football.
Uh-huh.
I know you. You know what I'm saying? I know you on the line. Nah, I ain't on nobody line. But in the street, we was playing street ball for sure.
Right.
We did tournaments together. Matter of fact, we went in one state conference. We killed them boys from Philly, them boys from Harrisburg. We killed them boys from Reading. We smashed all them dudes as a small team with our conference that we did. So we played, but that really wasn't my thing, man.
Okay.
That wasn't my thing. So
Okay. So then we get to so now we get you said you've been doing the community involvement, the community work. So we get to the point to where we get you from young adolescent to man. Like, so when we get to that part, you said you're a family man, you have children. If you don't mind me asking, how many children do you have?
uh, I got three, one of which is biological, but I got three, man. For
Okay.
8 years, I spent with the other two, all three together. I spent with them 8 years, so they mine. I don't care what nobody say.
Right, right.
Uh, but yeah, I got three, man.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
like as far as the work that you've done and work that you're doing, like if you don't mind kind of sharing that with us, like what's your line of work or what's your line of community involvement? Like what you got going on with yourself for now?
Well, as far as the community, I kind of got my hands in a lot, and trust me, I'm definitely not tooting my horn because
Man, listen, if you are, this for you allowed to do it here.
okay, I hear you, bro. So as far as my 9 to 5, I work for the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. I oversee safety and security for all of the projects happening with the food hall, the market, the Rockwall Climate Gym, parking ramp, and the other businesses that are being developed. Corey is the director of logistics and operations. I'm the deputy director of logistics and operations.
You and your childhood friend.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. And matter of fact, the reason I got the job was because my man brought me in. Corey brought me in. Like he started in September. They like, yo, we need to do something on the security realm. He like, man, my boy is great in mental health. We can bring him in to decompress and to down talk situations and to problem solving thing like that. And that's how I got in. Man, I don't have no background in security, bro. I'm learning every day the new stuff. You know what I mean? This ain't my thing, but like the skills I've developed over time, built with relationship, brought me here, man. So yeah, so that's what I do now for my 9 to 5. I love it, bro. I ain't even gonna front. I just met with the head of security for Erie Insurance, and we talking about $1 billion moves that's going on over there. Like they moving money. I'm in meetings with billionaires, bro. dude, I don't have a college degree, but I'm sitting at the table and billionaires know my name. Billionaires are looking for me to make decisions that impact $110 million project on the initial level, bro. Like,
Love it.
process that, dog. Like, that's crazy. And again, it's not me. It's about developing consistency in something. When you find your thing, work that thing. I don't care what you don't have. If you got felonies and they won't hire you, start your own business,
I
bro.
love it.
There's a millionaire, and then I'm gonna move on. There's a
No, no,
millionaire
no. Go ahead.
up in Cleveland. A pastor I admire, R.A. Vernon, built relationship with this dude fresh out of jail. Did major time. Nobody gonna hire him. Ain't nobody giving him a shot. They don't trust him. My man took what he did in selling drugs, flipped that junk, started a construction company, and now he a multi-millionaire sitting in major boardrooms because he's took a skill set and changed the direction of it by changing his method and his platform. So I'm like, yo, ain't no excuse for nobody.
Not at all.
Nobody. Because if God can do it for me, he can do it for anybody. So yeah, that's my 9 to 5.
Let me
Um,
wait. Before we jump to the next thing, I want to kind of slow down and talk about this 9 to 5 thing. Because as you're saying it and you're telling me what you do, I'm getting excited because I just had Corey on here and he kind of telling me, and then to hear like my brother pulled me up, you know what I mean? Like my bro
yeah,
plugged me in. I
yeah,
had this skill. All I needed to do was had a skill set. He put me in the room. When I went
yeah.
in the room, I took advantage of the opportunity and I thrived. And now it's just like I be running the yard. Y'all got y'all suits on downtown. I'm thinking y'all just politicking and here it come to find out like y'all really like making some major decisions down there, man. So big ups to you, big ups to him for putting you on. And that's the power of community, and that's the power of like the fellowship of brotherhood. So it was good to hear that, man. I'm glad you shared that. And like, ain't no, I don't want to toot my own horn, like Treasure said on here, like toot. We gonna put that back up there. Yeah, I mean, you got to toot your own horn. But
I
now
got
that we got the 9 to 5 down the pack, and we know all the stuff that you got going on in the rooms that you in, like, what else we got going on?
I launched a podcast. I'm getting ready to relaunch, man. I got a podcast called Live Alive. It's a concept God gave me that a lot of people are living, but you really like the walking dead. You ain't
Mhm.
really living. You just alive. You just breathing. But like John 10:10, favorite passage of scripture, bro. Jesus says, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And if he's saying like, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly, that's telling me that there's degrees to living. There's people who are just barely making it, and then there's people who walking in abundance, and that's God's design for us. So with that concept, man, started the podcast, man, just drop an inspirational thought. Really, that's the whole sum of it all. Also, just kind of dialoguing, working with kids through the Empower Life Community Development Corporation, which is the nonprofit our church started. We teaching them how to use technology to close the technology gap. Our kids are one left behind in technology, but not no more. We teach them how to do podcasts. We teaching them how to do social media marketing stuff. We teaching them how to do t-shirt presses. We teaching them how to do different formats of media, man. So like taking pictures, all that stuff. We just did a camp with Corey's program, Life Through Music.
Uh-huh.
Just went out to a camp in New Jersey. We did a week-long camp out there. Out there, I'm teaching kids anger control and emotional regulation, while Corey is teaching them how to do photography. Pastor Cook is teaching them how to do video production, and my other boy is doing music production, how to make beats and tracks. You know what I mean? Like that's what we do. Like so,
Wow. So y'all
yeah,
literally like a walk-in school, like a team of just what's the innovative thinker creators? You know what I mean? Like just being able to get with some of these young folks and do all of this. That's crazy. Like to hear this stuff, and I'm glad I'm having this conversation with you. I'm glad I had a conversation with Corey. I got Daryl to reply to my message, so he
yeah,
gonna be coming on here too. I'm glad to have these conversations all over again. My
yeah.
question to you is like, why? Why? Why do you do all of this? Why are you so involved? Why do you give so much back? Why do you feel the need to pour into everybody else?
I think it's my design. I think it's my design, man. Like again, I go to God. It's just who I am, bro. And I don't apologize for that by any means.
Never.
At the same time, man, like I think this is just the heart God gave me. I've always been a soft-hearted guy who ain't weak, but I have empathy. When I see people hurting, I feel that. You know what I mean? I see people crying, see people suffering, see people lacking. I can't just walk away. I'm just not built that way. You know what I mean? And so there's my design. But then the flip, bro, like yo, I needed that, man. Like I've wrestled with depression. I've wrestled with anxiety. I've wrestled with identity, my own value, my own worth. And there were some people who would come along and snatch me out of some rough moments with conversation, with teaching me stuff. And so, who would I be to take that but not give that? You know what I mean? Because I'm a believer that skill comes to you not to stop at you, but it comes to you to come through you. The
Mm,
hairdresser that makes great money, she's making great money because she beautifies a woman and teaches her her own value with the expression of art through hair. You know what I mean? And so her skill manifests in whole identity change for a woman. Man, take a woman who went from jacked up hair to now her junk laid right. You see that the glow in her eyes. You see how she walk up a little higher. You know, she dress a little different. She talk a little different. She walk with attitude and strength, which to me, strength is mad attractive, bro. And so at the end of the day, like she took what she was given and she gave that to somebody else. And the crazy thing is, the gift you're given can be the gift that meets your need, man. It's learning how to channel the skills I got and produce for me. Also, at the same time, while my motivate to pad my pockets, best believe I'm creating revenue with the
right.
skills I got. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why. That's why I do it. So
That's crazy, man. Listen, that's interesting to hear. Like I said again, especially to talk to another member of your team and kind of hear that y'all think alike. And then he was talking about y'all push each other, and you just said something similar as far as pushing each other through the music and stuff like that. So I want to ask you because I think it's important for all of us to know and understand this concept. Like, how important is your team to your development? How important is it to you to have those type of individuals around you, those kind of minds like floating around you and surrounding you?
team is everything, bro. My team is everything. From what people don't know is there were times where I ain't had nowhere to stay. And not because my mom wasn't looking out for me, but because I'm like, I can't go back to mom crib, but I'm in transition from one city back to Erie. What do I do? Corey opened his door for me, man. So I could have been homeless if it wasn't for Corey. Mugs don't know that. You know what I mean? And so my team mean everything. We hold each other accountable. We celebrate each other. We cut up and act a fool, bro. Sometimes in our meetings, we be looking at each other and we laughing in our head while stuff is going on because we just got that connection. So team mean everything. You know, the relationships I have, seeing my brothers excel, as far as even about like setting a bar, man. Like when I set a bar, the community around me helps me elevate that joint. Like I know I can't go to Corey and be like, bro, I'm about to do this joint. He like, yeah, but that sounds weak, dude. You better than that. Like, come
Right.
on, man, that's all you got. Come on, man. Like, let's think, bro. Bro, let's think. And like, if I have something, I know I can have live music. I can have photography. I can have people to sing it. I can have people to edit it. I can have people to do everything because my team is that strong, bro. They say that they can tell your future by who your friends are. They can tell your future by who your friends are. Your capacity is determined by the people you connect yourself with. Do people determine it? No. But your decisions are fueled by your relationships, man. Your,
Man, listen, that's crazy to hear you say that. I remember one of my supervisors used to say that to me all the time. She would be like, you tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you your future. And I used to be like, man, I don't want to be a statistic. And I'm like, I'm gonna still continue to hang with my friends. I'm gonna be able to let her know, like, that don't mean nothing, that don't make sense. But then as I'm realizing, you know what I mean? Like, as I'm surrounding myself with more positive people, I'm not gonna say more positive people, as I'm elevating and I'm surrounding myself with people who are doing other things or doing better things, you know what I mean?
right.
It's like it's the outcome has been amazing. Like the interactions that I've been having has been amazing. The conversations that I'm having, like literally, me and you've been sitting here for 40 minutes. We've been having nothing but good conversation, and I'm taking a lot of stuff in. So I definitely understand the importance of having a strong team. And it seems like far as from some of the things that you share, like y'all kind of came up that way, being that strong as like y'all had a nucleus growing up. What would
Yeah.
you say as far as like us as men, like how would you encourage men to kind of like start breaking the barriers and kind of getting involved with building the type of teams that you have? Like why is it important? How would you encourage us to kind of like start opening the door to have conversations to where we can say, hey bro, I need help?
I think I think vulnerability is one of the biggest deficiencies of man. We are,
Elaborate on that.
I mean, bro, we good at lifting big weights. We good at showing our success, but we struggle with expressing our dilemma. Women master the art of expressing emotion. Men hide. We compress because part of it is cultural because we've been taught weakness is expressed in showing limitations. But weakness is the denial of limitation. That's real weakness. Because if I can acknowledge my limitation, express it, and grow through it, that's actually real strength. But when I'm willing to hide it, internalize it, and live according to it, I've really shown my weakness. So for me, it's just being willing to be vulnerable. And then the other thing, bro, is this whole idea of having vision. This if I okay, so even with a girl, if I'm interested in a girl, because your boy's on the market, but if I'm interested in a shorty, right? And I talk to her and I say, "What you doing today?" And she always says nothing. She not for me.
Right.
She ain't got no vision. She ain't got no direction. She ain't got no plan. And if you're going to consume your day with my attention, that means you have nothing to aim for and you can't have my time. But
Right.
if I call you and you can't answer and I got to leave voicemail and you hit me back later and be like, I'm sorry, I was in a meeting, I love that. Be busy, be productive, see yourself doing something. And so for us as brothers, man, we got to have vision. And one of the biggest counters of vision is feeling. Because vision is about seeing what can't be seen. Feeling is about responding to what is. And it's easier to respond to what is than it is to focus on what you can't even see yet. Like you, bro, when you started out, I bet you might not have seen yourself in a podcast.
No,
You
you know it's crazy. I did. And a lot of people was like, "Oh, you need to do this. You need to." I'm like, man, I ain't doing. I ain't getting on no camera. I ain't interviewing. Somebody like, man, you need to make a YouTube channel. I'm like, yeah, no, that ain't for me. I ain't doing that either. I don't like cameras. I don't want nobody in my business. Now I'm snapping. I'm posting pictures, taking pictures, making reels, videos, all of that. So yeah,
because
you right about that.
you develop vision, bro. And it started out in an increment and it expands. What I understand is vision is constantly evolving. I started out learning how to draw. Now I'm a painter. You understand what I'm saying? Like I started out cooking for my girl, but now I own a restaurant. Vision has to be constantly expanding. And I think what we don't realize is when we lack vision, we settle for anything and we waste time. Think about how crucial, and I swear I'm gonna shut up, but think about how crucial time is, bro. Time is so crucial that your employer determines how much you deserve based on how much time you invest.
Right.
That's how crucial time is because it's the only thing you can spend and never get back. I can get more money. I can
Right.
get a girl. I can get mostly anything back. But time, bro, it's gone. I'll never get my teams again. And so in understanding that there's an urgency to have direction and direction, and bro, this is just me, direction has to come from a source. So for me, that's why my walk with God is so imperative, bro. Could I be creative? And do some stuff, sure, but even my creativity is dependent on God who designed me. And I know people think, yeah, I got that, I did that, but no man can do it all by himself. Somebody
Right.
taught you something.
Right.
Somebody opened the door for you somewhere. And if you say that it's not true, you lying, bro. And so for me, it's about having vision, being willing to grow, being willing to be vulnerable. And lastly, and I'm done for real, is we got to learn how to create safe spaces for each other. The reason
Right.
why men don't open up is because it's not a lot of brothers creating safe spaces. It's not a lot of sisters. They say they want us to be emotional, but then when we show our weakness, are you going to remind me of that the next time you get pissed off at me? Then you're not a safe place for me. I need a safe place where I can express it and it not be shoved in my face again next time it's convenient for you. So we
Right.
got to create safe spaces for each other. So
Listen, I agree with all of that too, man. And that's the importance. I believe anyway. In my opinion, is like that's the importance of having these conversations. You know what I mean? And doing this channel is because like I'm identifying different men. And then after, like, I started a Facebook group the other day, and after every person I interview, I want to invite them to the Facebook group so we can all kind of interact on a more personal level. Because I believe every single person that we have interviewed so far has something to bring to the table. We can all build from each other. We can all grow from each other. And it kind of sounds like we need to be taking some notes out of the camp of you guys and whatever it is that y'all got going on, man, because y'all in the rooms, you in the right rooms, and you making enough noise. So like that's great. But it sounds like, with all of this stuff going on, and I asked everybody about this question, it seems like at some point in time it can get very overwhelming. And another thing that, like, I mean, you fairly young, so maybe you have a different answer to this question, but a lot of us feel like when you talk about mental health and you mention it to some people of color, and then you mention it to people of church, it's like, oh, God's my therapist, and black men don't talk to therapists and all of that. So my question to you is like, because you well rounded in the mental health field. So like, what's your take on mental health? How important is it? How do you cope with it? How do you encourage other people to deal with it? Let's kind of like talk a little bit about the mental health aspect of your life.
Mental health is crucial, bro. Call me crazy, but I believe everybody at some time in their life needs a therapist.
Thank you.
I've had two.
Thank you.
I've had two.
Thank you.
I've had two therapists. I sought therapy when I was having some relationship issues, dealing with my own inconsistencies and my own bad decisions. And then I've had a therapist when I separated from my ex, because I had to learn a new way of living. I had my family I thought was complete and I could just move forward. And when that was shattered, I had to learn how to live again. I had to learn how to set proper boundaries for the relationship. And I still haven't mastered it all. I had to learn how to express. I had to learn how to come home and not have my son run up to me and say, "Daddy."
Mm,
Like that. Even now, I get choked up, bro, because coming home to an empty house, bro, that's hard. When you used to coming home and there's three of them and everybody wants your attention, and then you got your lady here and she cooking and preparing dinner, and then you come home and you got nothing but your stuff. And that
hmm
stuff mean nothing. You can have these TVs, couches, cameras, video, money, all my guns. I like guns. Pray for me. All my guns. You can have all that stuff. You can have all that junk, man. Give me my people back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So mental health is something everybody struggles with at some point, because it's including of grief, it's including depression, anxiety. But I think everybody at some point needs help, and I think real strength is the people who can say, "Yep, that's me. I need help." So
Man, listen, that's crazy. I appreciate that. Like you saying that, especially for you to be able to share, like, you've had two therapists on two separate occasions because I tell people all the time, like, I have no problem with going to see a therapist. I have no problem getting an unbiased opinion, talking about some of my concerns, you know what I mean? And then, like, I've been talking to some of my friends, like, listen, your therapist don't really have no real interest in what you got going on and having a relationship with you. So they're going to keep it real with you. And they're going to shoot right from the hip. They're going to tell you when you're right, but they
yep,
also going to tell you when you're wrong. They're going to tell you you have a good idea, and then
yep,
some of the therapists I have just kind of like, what? Yeah, no, that's you. Yeah, you're tripping. Don't do that. That sounds crazy. You
yeah,
were wrong on that one. And
yeah,
another thing that I love about it is I think you mentioned it earlier. It helps me with accountability as a man. You know what I mean,
yeah,
and being more responsible of myself and my actions because like through some of the therapy that I've went through and some of the books that I've read, like I feel and I believe that I'm 100% responsible for the things that happen to me once I take charge of my life. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I can't point the finger at the system or I can't say my employer because at the end of the day, I have enough knowledge to know how to maneuver and how to move throughout my life. So it's definitely interesting to hear other black men say that they see a therapist and that they encourage it. And it's also interesting to hear like you as a black man from the church, because like I said, back in the old days in the old school, it's kind of like we don't talk about what goes on here. You pray to God, you take it to God, and God gonna solve it and God gonna fix it. So I love your your thought process on that. But what's interesting is that I heard you say is I like guns. And what's interesting about that to me is, like I'm kind of familiar with guns. I'm not probably the way you said it. You seemed excited, so you probably know what you got going on. And so I want
oh
to
yeah,
kind of touch base on that subject a little bit because it's a real controversial subject about it. And like crazy, I joined the NRA like just to
okay.
see what's going on. But like, how important do you think it is that we in our community kind of like get ourselves involved in gun safety training and understanding how to handle a gun and even teaching our children at a young age to hunt and things like that? Like, how important do you think it is for us to be more educated on the proper handling and the proper safety of guns within our community?
Feel you, and I like what you said because I don't promote ownership, except for with certain friends. Like I be telling my pastor, like, bro, I want you to have a gun, dog. Like I be telling Corey, like, bro, I want you to get you a joint. You know what I mean? But
Uh-huh.
I don't really promote ownership. I promote the education element of it because guns are not the problem. People are.
Right.
If I hit you with a car, now do we say we need to ban all cars? Nah. The problem is the driver was intoxicated or the driver was destructive with their decision making. And so for me, guns really aren't the issue. Now, does that mean I think they should be readily available as they are? I think we do need to tighten up the gun laws. My
Hmm.
pastor said it like this. He says it's not either or, it's both and. We need to both focus on the laws and also focus on mental health restrictions so that people who are not in a healthy place don't get guns. I do think they're too readily available. Honestly, right now, if you wanted to go to the store and buy a gun, bro, if you're 21 and over, all you got to do is walk in with a license and don't have no criminal record. That's it. You fill out a paper. Let's see if you got a crazy criminal record, and you good in that same day. I think we need to look at that. And then, as a gun owner, I can sell you an AR-15. I can sell you my shotgun and not have to get any legal documentation. I don't get none. All I got to do is have you fill out a paper with the serial number saying the day you bought it and the day I sold it. That's all I got to do.
Right.
We need to work on that. We
Right.
need to work on that because, again, guns are not the problem. People are. So we got to regulate people because some people don't regulate themselves. Um,
Absolutely.
so that's my thoughts, bro.
Listen, man, I appreciate you saying that, and then especially like not spending too much time on it because I know that subject right there ruffles all kind of feathers. People look at you, they look at you completely different when you kind of talk about guns. I don't care what your political party is, what your background religiously is. It's like, oh my God, that he said guns, and it's interesting because, like, and you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to. I was having a conversation with a lady today, and she was like, do you think it's important for our kids at young age to learn gun safety and stuff like that? Because at this point, this day and age, like all the kids seem to be able to have access to guns and are using guns. And I told her, like, I honestly think like not necessarily gun safety training, but maybe have like the game commission in there, kind of talk about hunting and trapping and fishing, educate kids on how to use a rifle to hunt and talk about gun safety, but not just say, okay, now that we know everybody has handguns, let's figure out how to use it. So like, what's your take on that as far as like us? And again, I'm keeping it focused on our community because I know, like, I work with people who live out in Cambridge Springs, and they talk about how they got their kids shooting guns at 12, 13, they hunting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is for our community to educate our children on not gun safety? We're gonna say hunting, trapping, and what do they call it? Hunting, trapping, fishing, and foraging.
Yeah.
Let's use it like that.
I think all that's imperative because my man, you be fishing like a mug. You like me, we fish.
Yeah, man.
So I think the ability to sustain yourself is always something that's valuable. I also believe that I think learning is the key, not discovering by experimenting.
Mm,
Difference between learning and experimenting to discover. And unfortunately, our children, unlike Caucasian children, are left vulnerable in that we don't talk about guns, so they discover by experimenting. But the kids who learn by teaching have the foundation, hopefully, of healthy instruction. Because when I took one of my oldest kids to shoot, when he shot, bro, he was terrified. And I said, as you should be. You know
right.
that deep breath you need to take right now because you felt the power of that gun means you need to reverence the impact you can have with that thing. Don't take it lightly. I don't want you comfortable. I want you to be confident in that you know how to handle it if you get to that place. But don't get too comfortable. Absolutely not. And I think we need to set more rites of passage with our children that develop skills versus rites of passage that just make them look like they're a man too early. And in our culture, we develop rites of passage that make them look like a man too early. How many girls can you get at 15? You look
Right.
like a man too early. How much money you bringing in the house and you look like a man too early. But we need to develop rites of passage that empower them to survive hunting, fishing, all that different stuff. Man, if something happened, I could feed myself. I
Right.
could, you know what I mean? Because I know how to go hit that lake. I know how to go hunt. You know what I mean? But I just think we have to learn how to teach by learning versus experiment for information. So that's my
Listen, bro, you a walking school, man. Like you need a whole like listen, no, for real, man. You need to have like some people in training that you teach you how to think like you, talk like you, speak like you, move like you, so that we can continue to teach. Like listening to some of the things that you say and how you articulate your words. Like again, we all judge books by our cover, and that's another reason why I wanted to have these conversations because a lot of us will look at people and we either write them off or we assume all of these different things about their lives and not realize that like yo we share some common interests. Like me and this dude got a lot of similarities. We got a lot of different common interests, and it's definitely interesting to hear some of the things that you talk about and some of the things that you say because, like I said, you don't, and not to disrespect anybody, but you do not sound like an idiot. Like you know what you're talking about. To where if somebody tried to come on here and be like, "Oh yeah, no, he tripping," I can feel you holding your weight in the conversation. And I
I
think that's
appreciate
important as us as men within our community to be able to have some type of representation, to have people who can represent us and speak like that, and then
it.
we can learn and we can grow from those things. Because, like, again, literally, like listening to you speak and hearing some of the things that you were saying and some of the things you were talking about is just amazing for,
Yeah.
especially when you touch on the subject of the gun thing. Because, like, I remember when I first got involved in guns and I went to the range, it was a sign on the wall, and I will never, ever, ever forget the sign. It said, "It's better to have and not need than to need and not have.
Yeah.
And I tell my daughter that, I tell my sister that, like I tell my mom that, you know what I mean? Like let everybody know, like, listen, man, we got to be ready because you never know. And I don't want you to feel like it's time to go bang, bang, shoot them up, but we need to be able to protect ourselves. And I have a lot of children, and I don't want nothing to happen to any of them. And I want to be able to take care of them, and I want them to be take care of each other. So I appreciate you even being able to articulate it that way to where it don't sound like we a bunch of savages. Because, like you said, in different communities, different ethnicities, like it's a common thing. Like, it happens. It's typical.
Yeah.
So then I want to ask you a question too, because like again, like you're talking about all of this different stuff, and like I said, I feel like you were walking school. You know what I mean? You talk about the music, you talking about and then I see you getting into politics too. You know how you down there when the politicians is coming in, and you making big decisions, and you sitting in them big rooms, and then you got the camps and all of this. So, um, are you vocal? Like, how vocal are you about the things that you've accomplished, the things that you have going on, and the things that you're doing moving forward? Like, what's your take on being modest, and what's your take on being humble, and what's your take on bragging about yourself?
Um, I like the comment, not a walking school. For me, I think there's an old adage from the church. It says, "Let the work I've done speak for me."
Okay.
And so for me, there's times where, and I'm just getting comfortable with this. If you bring up my name, not like I'm all that, please don't get it twisted.
No, you are. You are.
No, no.
You are.
But
But go ahead.
if you bring up my name, there's certain things you will connect to my name.
Hmm.
I don't have to say that. But then when I'm given opportunities, some people don't know, so I have to illustrate that. I think we need to focus less on verbalizing and more on illustration
Okay.
because I can have more impact with what I do. You remember what I did before you remember what I said.
Right.
If I heard you out one time, you came in real angry and helped you calm down, you'll remember that more than me saying, "Yeah, you cool." You'll remember that way more. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's more about demonstration versus verbalization, I guess I would say. It's more
Okay.
about illustrating what I have because then what happens is people who you don't think are watching will begin to tell your story for you. On
Hmm.
the flip, I do think you have to know when it's time to speak up and say, "No, this is who I am, and
Right.
this is what I do." But the key is deciphering when either one is necessary. That's
How
the
do you
key.
decipher that? How do you figure that out?
I think for me, it's knowing when it's time for me to work and when it's time for me to speak. And a lot of us don't know. Like, you know how we do, we want to talk our way into stuff. But sometimes if you just be faithful doing what you're doing, your work will talk so loud that you don't have to. Like, what's the one? It's a motivational speaker, Bull from he from Detroit. I can't think of his name.
Eric Thomas?
Yes, Eric Thomas.
How do you not know that name, bro?
Right, right. I forgot, bro. Forgive me. He's another mentor I'll never meet. He's another mentor I'll never meet. I watch all his videos. He's amazing. So Eric Thomas, there's a video that circulated with him talking about being desperate for success, and like you gotta want success as much you want to breathe. And he paints that picture really, really well. Do you know all that brother was doing his job as a teacher?
Hmm.
He wasn't trying to build no platform. He wasn't trying to be seen. Somebody caught him in video doing what he did, and now he's created millions of dollars, built a whole new platform, going after degrees, and he's worldwide known right now because he was busy working, not busy talking.
Right.
He did
Right.
the work, man. So like that's just my thing. You got to know when it's time to work. You got to know when it's time to talk. And I think when it's time to work, it's when something is assigned to you.
Right.
Something
Right.
is assigned to you. When a need hits your heart, that's when it's time to work. It's time to talk when you're invoked to speak. I think I got to be provoked to speak. King was great. King knew how to take advantage of cultural crisis in the black community and set
Hmm.
as a platform to speak. He knew how to take the mistreatment of of garbage men and them being underpaid. He knew how to take that and make a platform to speak. He knew how to take police brutality and all these different things going on in Selma, Alabama. He knew how to take that stuff to speak. But then there was times where he just had to march and do the work. It was
Right.
less talking and it was more working. So we got to decipher that, bro.
Okay. It's interesting. Listen, right? So, like, listen to you hear you say some of those things. Like, I understand where you're coming from. And then here's the thing: I have this conversation, and every single person that I bring on here, pretty much what I feel like happens is we somehow, some way, figure out a nice way to define the word or the act of being humble? You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like as far as I hear everything that you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And my take on that, and on the flip side of that is I know, like for instance, think about the music that you hear or the movies that you see or some of the negativity that goes on in the world. Like people talk about that, it gets publicized, it gets bragged about. Like it's
Mhm.
kids who know what bar that they can get into and they won't get carded. It's kids who know what drug dealer is going to sell them drugs regardless of their age. But then it's not kids who know who Patrick Lyons is. And
Okay.
I think that is because a lot of us who are, I like to call us community leaders, because like it's a new wave, it's a new trend of us. A lot of the older people who laid the foundation for us are kind of like they going out the way, and it's a new form of leader. And this is just my opinion. I feel like we need to take a different approach, and we need to be more vocal about the good that we do. We need to be more vocal about the people that we are, so then that way I can say to people, "Oh yeah, Patrick got a camp out there, man. He been killing them for years. Him and Corey got that thing going on. Like, look on their Facebook, they talking about it. You know what I mean? This brother praying every single day. He's accomplishing goals. Like literally go look at his work because he's talking about it. Like not to get the reference from other people. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like it is needed. It is important. And I only say that because people will talk about the negativity and people will drag you through the mud and people will dog you so bad. And then even us, like we will openly and honestly say, like, oh man, I'm so dumb. I can't believe I did that. When we do something good, we don't kind of brag on it, we don't glorify it, and then a lot of people miss us. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
learning that myself as far as understanding the importance of practicing humility and being humble. Because I
Yeah.
don't feel like at this point I'm not a humble person anymore. Like if I do something good, I'm giving myself my flowers for it. And I'm
Yeah.
talking bragging about it a little bit. I have people who support me who I can kind of brag to and talk about. And I'm more vocal about it. And what I'm doing is I'm drawing more attention to myself in a positive manner, in a positive light, to where I can decipher who I'm allowing in based on how I talk about myself. But like you said, I'm also a man of action. Like I don't just talk it without walking it. But I feel like
Yeah.
at this point, I'm at this day and age with the way the world is and the temperature of the world. Like I think it's important for us, you know what I mean? Us leaders, us strong men who actually are positive, who actually are doing great things, who actually are staples in our community, for us to congratulate each other publicly, for us
Yeah.
to speak about, like, again, literally, I'm telling you, like, in my opinion, you're a walking school. Like, everybody in the city of Erie needs to know who Patrick Lyons is. You need to be a household name because we all know who some of the people are who are spreading some negative. And I'm not going to throw nobody names out there because that's not my job. But we know who the who's who are in Erie. We know who the guy is who got it. We know the guy is if you want to get a bootleg car, if you want to
Yeah.
get a cheap rental, if you want to get a backdoor a hotel. But if I want to teach my son how to play the drums, where do I go? You know what I mean?
Right.
If I want my kid to be interested into the Bible, and I want my kid to be around somebody who speaks so passionately about it as yourself, but then they're down to earth, because when you hear I'm into the church and I like guns, that's an interest within itself. I'm pretty sure
Sure.
more kids will gravitate to you, more
Yeah.
men will gravitate towards you. But like, and I can go on a rant about this thing because it seems like every single man that I've brought outside of Corey, Corey and somebody else. Corey, like, man, I'm confident. I know who I am. I'll bring it, and you know what I mean. But everybody like figured out a way to say, well, I'm gonna do the work, and I'm gonna and we through God's gonna make sure I'm blessed and all of that. But at this point in time, with the temperature of the world, like I feel like us, when I say us, you included in the people who come on this show, we need to be more vocal about the things that we do that are positive. We need to be more present about it, and because nobody's gonna brag about you. You know what I mean? Like people, but if you were to go get one of them guns and shoot something up, believe you me,
You
everybody.
already know. Yeah.
Everybody here's you said you took some kids in New Jersey. This is my first time hearing about it. But let you have one in the D's and try to stick them up. Oh, y'all know Patrick. Remember Patrick from the church, Trinity Center? Yeah, the dude he worked down here. He wear the suits all the now everybody know your whole story. So like again, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I truly think that that's important. And I think a lot of us we need to kind of work through that modesty period and understand like I can give you your flowers all day, bro. From the conversation I just had with you, hearing some of the things that you say, listening to some of your accomplishments, your upbringing. Like I said, I didn't know the situation was like that, girl. I thought y'all was well. I ain't gonna hold you, like, because it was a little messed up for me, girl. I come from a single mother household at the time, and go to the Trinity Center, y'all had y'all little nucleus of friends. I used to be jealous, like, man, they all cool. They stay together, they hang together, and they come to find out, like, as the story breaks down. So, like, you are an amazing person, man. Like, you need to be
I appreciate
celebrated. You need to be talked about. You need to be bragged about. You need to be highlighted. We need to put a billboard. All of these men that we talking to, and all of the conversations that we having, like, we need to start working together. We need to start working harder to kind of like highlight ourselves. And I feel like with us having a strong team of individuals who are doing it, we won't feel bad about doing it. We won't feel like we shouldn't be saying that because so far, I think you number 22 So I think about it, 22, a group of 22 men who's sitting around like, bro, what you do today? Oh, I killed them today in the stock market. And you like, oh yeah, I just got this new contract. And then somebody else like,
Gotcha.
and we all praising each other. And then we have a party or something. And when I say party, I don't mean something crazy turn up, but now everybody see like, look at them group of fellas, man, they killing them. I want to be a part of that. So I
Yeah.
think we need to be more vocal about the things that we do so we can drag people and pull people. And again, like I said, I can go on a rant when it comes to that stuff because like it makes me feel some type of way when people tell me to be humble when I work my tail off to accomplish great things. And I never tell people, like, even when you said I'm not gonna toot my own horn, like, listen, you can brag to me, man. I'm happy for you.
I
I'm
feel it.
proud of you. Like, you're an amazing dude. You got it going on. You know what I mean? Like, and then even for you to be so transparent, to admit some of your flaws, for you to be able to say out loud, I had to see two different therapists. I miss my family. You know what I mean? Like, literally everything that you said, in my opinion, and the other people that I've talked to, like, you encapsulate what a man should be. You know what I mean? You definitely encapsulate what a man should be to be able to practice some humility. I just feel like we need to start bragging a little bit more, or boast, whatever word we're going to use to make the word a little bit more pretty than cocky and all of that. Like
But
we
see,
got to build this thing up, man. So
I feel you.
and
I don't
listen,
know, but my thought, but don't misunderstand, man. Because for me, humility isn't the absence of confidence.
okay,
And when you think of confidence, confidence is an internal. It's an internal awareness that has external manifestation.
okay,
Confidence isn't something you wear on your shirt. Because to me, if you wear it on the shirt, you're not really confident.
okay,
If you're pushing for the attention, you're looking for the attention, you're not really aware of your own value. But for me, confidence and humility actually go hand in hand. So it's confidence is internal, humility is in, and humility speaks to the expression of what's internal. For
okay.
me, this is just a patism. I ain't got no deep thought. You know what I
It's
mean?
deep. Listen, stop that. Stop that with that. Right? It's deep.
Like Scripture says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So as you think you are internally, that's what you become. So I don't need the verbal rah rah rah, but I
Right.
can tell you, oh yeah, I can play a bass, man.
There we
I
go.
can do that track. So I think when you're speaking up to what you can accomplish, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the issue for me is the people who are chasing opportunity rather than working for it.
Right. Okay.
That's the issue for me.
Okay. Yeah, I feel you there. That definitely makes a difference there.
So that's what it is for me, man. So
Listen, man, you got the comment section going crazy. I ain't gonna hold you, man. Like people commenting here, they interacting. Pat the goat. I remember Pat helping Pack at church. He transparent. I felt this. Pat is the man. He's so talented and all of that. Like this is why I say some of this stuff, man. This is why we need to keep having these conversations, and we need to have different people coming on here and talking about and letting other people, like you said, the work shows for itself. Like there's people in the comments talking about you, bragging about you. You know what I mean? And then like it's very important. Like I said, it's very important for me to show that we as men can have these positive conversations and we can literally sit down for an hour and have a conversation where there's no beef, there's no problems, there's no dissing anybody or putting anybody down. And then for us to kind of figure out, okay, where do we pick up from here? Where do we leave off? And to have other people interested. So, we talked about a lot. And like I said, I like to run my shows for like an hour because then what I want people to do is if they're interested in more information, I want them to reach out to you personally. Like,
gotcha.
yo, we know I pay for the cow, you can get the milk for free type of thing. So we don't want you to give it all away on this show. But
Gotcha.
like I said, you had a good hour and I don't know if you got anything else to talk about or if you want
No,
to, you got any plugs you want to drop or any questions you got for me. But I at least want to let you know we were at that hour mark so we didn't kind of like
gotcha.
saturate nothing and, kind of bore them out a little bit. But, it's still the Patrick Lyons show. You got the last couple minutes. What you got anything you want to add, include, plug in, any questions or anything like that?
Real talk, man. We talked about me a lot, man, and I'm humbled by the experience and the opportunity. But I honestly want to submit my last few thoughts to you and ask you, bro, what's next? Because I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of what you've done. I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm proud of the vision that I see unfolding, and I'm excited to say that I don't think this is the end for you, man. It's just a sample. So I'm gonna turn my last few minutes over to you, Doug. So what's next for you?
Man, honestly, I don't know what's next for real. Like, because what's crazy is I'm taking it day by day. I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm meeting new people. People are reaching out to me. People are like having great conversations with me. And like a lot of the stuff that's going on outside of this, like life is good for me and things are going in the right direction. But I'm kind of in a little rut right now. You know what I mean? So ain't no telling what's next for me. I'm going with the flow. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm enjoying like somebody donated a space to me to kind of like set up. So I want to kind of set up like a studio style type of thing.
That's
And
what's
then
up.
it's just different people reaching out to me for different opportunities. I sent out some messages to a couple people to see about getting into the schools. You know what I mean? To just try to kind of go in there and just an hour, 45-minute assembly to just kind of talk to the kids because I still feel like I got some youth underneath me and I still got that look to me to where I can be understandable. So I'm literally growing, building, expanding myself. And the reason why I do a lot of things that I do is, man, I have 8 children. You know what I mean? And I want my children to feel safe in the community. I
Yeah,
want them to feel comfortable. And I know that I can't parent every child. So if I can interact with different people to kind of get them on the right track. And if I can get myself more involved in community service, people are going to know my face. People are going to know my name. They're going to know my kid's face, my kid's name. And then at least I can be able to create an opportunity for my children to be safe in the environment that we grow up in. But outside of that, like, I'm open to anything for it's just like doors is opening, windows is opening, ceilings is like ain't no ceilings no more. So I don't know what's next for me,
okay,
but I'm open to whatever, man. Because at this point, I'm being vulnerable, I'm being open minded, I'm being transparent, and I'm just trying to grow, man. So honestly, I don't have a straightforward answer for that, but I know this is not it. And I know I'm headed to places, and
gotcha.
I'm not ashamed to go there. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not. I'll toot my own horn because I definitely know the work that I put in, and I know I'm going up. I just don't know how high up and where that up is.
Got you, man. And like, hey, shout out! I see my cousin on, man. Daryl. I gotta holler at him. What's up, D, man? Love you, cuz. I ain't seen him in a minute, so just had to holler at him and then answer Donnie Brown, one of the great men at the church, man. Just a solid brother, man. Like solid brother. If that's the same Donald Brown, I think I am. I got it.
Gone. Yeah, he went to prep, play football, graduated from Clarion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's his dad I'm thinking of, but that's what's up. I know him to be a solid brother too. Absolutely, man. The podcast is called Live Alive with Patrick Lyons. It's on a bunch of any platform you actually catch. It should be on there. I'm a little outdated, so give me some grace, bro. I'm gonna catch it up. But by the time you get through your second one, I should be up with another one.
Okay, all right. So then outside of that, man, like I mean, you got nothing else for us? You leave. This is where you leaving us at. If so, man, I appreciate the conversation. Like I tell every single person, and then I started the Facebook group as well. Like I don't want this to just be a interview thing, or a YouTube thing. Like I really want to grow from this. I really want to build from this. I plan on getting it to a point to where everybody who's come on this show, we get in the same room, maybe some brunch, maybe some breakfast, lunch, whatever, and we just throw different ideas around. We suit up, we get booted, and we kind of like because again, like I said, everybody's positive. Everybody has a lot of good stuff going on. You know what I mean? So, I just want us to continue to grow and continue to build, and I don't want it to stop here. I'm gonna add you to the Facebook group. Hopefully, you can throw some
So
inspiration in there and some motivation in there. But we're gonna keep building. We're gonna keep growing, and like we're going to turn this into more than just conversations. It's going to be like the social experiment. Like that's real. That's a real thing. It's not just a conversation. It's more of a lifestyle and a movement.
I love that, bro. They booted me off Facebook. Somebody hacked my page,
You
put up
feel
some
me?
stuff. They booted me twice, dog. I don't even know if I'll ever get back on, but I'm gonna try. So if you don't catch me, that's why, because I ain't
Okay.
even on there. They booted me, fam.
Well,
So
listen, I mean, we got a Discord coming too soon, so we're gonna definitely figure out a way to where we can keep everybody in touch. I don't if we got to
cool,
do a group me, a Discord, a
cool.
what is it, the Telegram, whatever we have to do. Like, we definitely gonna make sure that we grow and we build this thing. And I'm gonna speak for myself. I need solid brothers around me. Every single person that I've had on this show, and every person that I've reached out to continue to have more. Like, I need y'all around me. I need to build with y'all, especially your team's strong. I ain't gonna hold you. I want to be part of y'all team. Like,
You
what's the
on, bro?
initiation? Jump me in. Like, I gotta sing a
You
song. I gotta bang a drum, play a guitar key. I'm down for whatever, man, because y'all got a lot of good stuff going on. But like I said, I appreciate your time. I
Yeah.
appreciate your insight. I appreciate everything you do for the community. I appreciate everything that you do for yourself, being transparent, being open, being honest. Like, I wish nothing but the best for you. And we're gonna continue to grow and build this thing. Like I said, I'm gonna join the team, man. So
You on, bro? It's already
I'm gonna,
done.
I'm, I'm gonna let you go with that unless you got anything else to say. Make sure
No,
y'all be on the lookout. Patrick Lyons, he's gonna be all over the place. This is a walking school, man. Like I said, him and his team, they walk in school, and I'm about to join the team. So
yes,
I
sir.
appreciate
Thank you,
your
bro.
time. You have a good night.
You too, man.
All right. All right, so there you have it, man. That's Mr. Patrick Lyons, and that was a very, very interesting conversation, man. Honestly, you never really know who you know or information about certain people until you actually talk to them and have those conversations. And that's why I do this, and that's why it's important for me is because we need to be able to identify and acknowledge who's who in our community. There are a lot of great people in our community who are doing great things. And I'm not gonna say they're behind the scenes, but they do it in certain levels that we're not all exposed to. So I think we need to kind of open up. We need to start talking to these people. We need to start reaching out. We need to join these conversations. We need to like get more involved with individuals, and we definitely need to acknowledge some of those great people that we're talking about. So, like I said, I've wrapped up. I believe this is interview number 22. I'm going to continue to do this. We're probably going to take a little break so we can fine tune some things, but I got a lot of people who are still waiting. So, after I get through all my invitations, we're going to slow it down a little bit. But I appreciate everybody who has watched. I appreciate all the comments tonight, man. Like y'all had the comment section going crazy. So I hope y'all had that same energy and subscribe to the channel because again, we're gonna have some exclusive YouTube interviews only just for the channel to build that. We got some giveaways coming up here soon for when we hit certain milestones as followers. We're gonna be having maybe some merch to give away, maybe some gas card. Never know what you interested in or what you like doing. But again, like I appreciate everybody for being involved. This is a social experiment. We're going to continue to highlight these men in our community. We're going to continue to acknowledge great work. We're going to continue to acknowledge leadership, positive qualities. And like I said before, if you're interested in having anybody come speak on the platform who I have not identified, please feel free to do so. If you feel like you are interested in coming on this show to have a conversation, please feel free to inbox me. I'm interested in having a conversation with anybody who has something good to say, anybody who has something positive to say, anybody who has something progressive to say. We're going to continue to build. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to build this community. We're going to thrive. And it's a lot of great things that are coming forward here soon. So y'all just be on the lookout for us. Like when you start seeing that social experiment stamp all over the place, when we having brunches and we having dinners and we doing giveaways and we passing out turkeys or whatever it is that we going to do, like believe you me, it is a group of solid brothers who are behind this movement, and there's more people to come. So I need y'all to stay tuned, stay posted, like the page, share, talk about it. Like I said, screenshot it, put it in your group chat message. I don't care what you do. Like, we're going to keep building this thing. The social experiment is going to take over the city of Erie, Pennsylvania, and we're going to keep expanding and keep expanding. So again, I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate Mr. Patrick Lyons for coming on. And we got some more stuff coming up. I got more interviews to go. So I'm going to sign off. In the meantime, between time, y'all have a good night. I'll probably hit y'all with some motivation tomorrow. We're going to talk about that challenge that we started, and hopefully everybody's accomplishing their goals. So y'all take it easy. Y'all have a good night, and we're going to talk to y'all later. Thank you.